Okay, welcome. We're doing a deep dive today into some sources you shared about Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos.
That's right. Looking at some pretty interesting public comments they've made recently.
Yeah, and our goal here is really just to unpack this specific material, see what insights it offers about their relationship.
Exactly. Sort of a shortcut to understanding what these particular texts are saying.
And what's striking right off the bat is you get these two, totally different vibes from the sources.
Mm-hmm. On one hand, you got this very lighthearted joking.
And then on the other, something really quite profound that apparently saved their marriage, according to this text.
So we'll explore both, based strictly on what you've provided us.
Right. So let's start with that first angle, the playful stuff.
Okay.
Your sources detail this comment from Mark Consuelos saying, if they split up after almost 30 years, he'd basically date a college student. It's pretty out there.
Wow. Okay. And Kelly's reaction?
The sources say she quipped right back, something like she hopes she lives long enough to see his second wife.
Ah, sharp. And the sources mentioned this isn't unusual for them.
Apparently not. The text notes they joke about breaking up often.
Interesting dynamic.
And Mars apparently added to it, saying he'd fall apart, but, someone would pick him up.
Oh, right.
And then made a crack about getting used to a college schedule.
So the sources really paint this picture of them being very publicly comfortable teasing about, the end of their marriage, almost normalizing it in a jokey way.
Exactly. That's the first facet the material highlights.
Okay, so then contrasting with that, you have this other story the sources detail. Much more serious.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, the material you shared describes this brief time in 1996 when they'd actually broken up.
Right, early on in their relationship.
Very early.
Yeah.
And despite being broken up, they had this work thing they couldn't get out of.
An appearance on Live with Regis and Kathy Lee.
That's the one. The sources say they both tried to cancel, given, the awkwardness.
Understandable.
But they had to do it. Had to appear together on stage.
Okay, so what happened?
This is where the sources describe a really pivotal moment. Mark Consuelos is quoted.
Mm-hmm.
He apparently saw Kelly on stage during that appearance while they were broken up and had this massive realization.
What a light bulb moment.
Kind of. The text says he described it as realizing breaking up was the worst decision of his life.
Wow.
And that he knew right then he had to be with her forever. That's what the source says he felt.
So the consequence?
Immediate, according to the text. He asked her to marry him right after that.
Seriously?
And the material says they flew to Vegas the very next day and got married.
That's incredible. And Kelly's take on it?
The sources quote her calling it wild, and she apparently said they owe a lot to this place, meaning the show, the stage.
So this work obligation during a breakup basically turned into the thing that, cemented their marriage based on this account.
Exactly. A completely unexpected catalyst described in your sources.
So putting it all together from the material you gave us, it's quite the contrast, isn't it?
It really is.
You have the public persona joking about divorce decades later.
And then this private, incredibly significant story from the very beginning, triggered by work.
And again, these are the insights drawn just from the specific text provided.
Which really leads to a point for you, the listener, to maybe mull over, based purely on this material.
Go on.
How do public figures, like the ones described here, balance showing that really lighthearted, maybe even performative side of their relationship?
Like the breakup jokes.
With sharing these incredibly personal, vulnerable moments that were apparently relationship defining, like that story from 1996.
Or maybe even thinking about how sometimes, as the sources suggest happened here, things like work obligations can just collide with your personal life.
And lead to completely life-altering decisions you never saw coming. It's quite something to think about based on what we've just unpacked from your sources.